You are listening to the Taps and Teas Show, weekly conversations for people passionate about marketing, golf, and craft beer. Marty is the co-founder of Bad Rhino, an award-winning digital marketing agency helping golf and craft beer brands get real results in social media marketing. Here is your host, Marty McDonald.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Taps and Teas, and we're continuing on here with the little theme here of just interviewing fun, good professionals that I know, that I've worked with, I've been in masterminds with, just to give you an idea of, who's out there. I think if you're listening to this, you're interested in marketing and how you can help either craft brewery or your golf business, whether you own a course or you're managing a course or you're in charge of marketing and any golf related things. That's what you're listening to this. And I want to introduce, as I've been bringing on the last few weeks, some of my friends, some people that I've met through masterminds that I know do good work and are good people. And that's most important. And today is a great guy I got to meet a couple of years ago down in Atlanta at another mastermind event. And we hit it off because we had a Philadelphia connection, which was fun. We got to talk about the Sixers and the Eagles that just won the Super Bowl, which was really good. But he's a really good guy, and he's super, super sharp, and he knows what he's doing. So that's why I have him on. So Justin is managing partner at Propellant Media. He does digital advertising, paid media advertising centered around geofencing marketing. So if you don't know what that is, he'll explain it a little bit. It's a popular thing, but there's a little thing in there that, people are like, huh, how does that work? But it's awesome and it's very effective. We've used it at Bad Rhino. So I'll let Justin talk a little bit more and not do a giant intro. So Justin, are you there?
I am. What's going on, sir?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, brother.
Good, man. I appreciate you coming on. Why don't you give everybody just a little bit more detail on who you are and what you do?
Sure. No, I definitely appreciate that, Marty. So again, Justin Croxton, I run a digital advertising agency. We have two offices based in Atlanta and Charlotte, North Carolina. Our company is called Propellant Media. And I think what's difficult for a lot of agencies, and Marty, you can appreciate this, is we're all trying to figure out how can we differentiate ourselves. There's so many agencies that are out there. And so for us, we said, all right, well, I have experience in Facebook ads. Yes, I have experience in AdWords, but what if we were to focus in on this whole world of programmatic display advertising? And for those who don't know, programmatic display is what we consider the buying and selling of ads in real time on a lot of these third-party apps and websites. So Angry Birds, Words with Friends, Weather Channel, and all the different websites that are out there. And within the world of programmatic display is what we call geofencing marketing. And it was like, wow, that is a fascinating thing to be able to leverage as a marketing tactic for companies. And we said, you know what, let's hone in on this. We started to see that it was gaining some popularity. A lot of people doing searches for it. And we decided to just really become the masters of being able to execute that on behalf of clients. And so now we do geofencing advertising. We do all forms of programmatic display. We also do over-the-top TV advertising. We lead with that as an organization. And so, for us, before that, running this agency, I went to business school in New York. And then before that, I lived in Atlanta doing commercial real estate. So I have a lot of experience in a lot of different areas, which is very fascinating. But the agency and the marketing tech firm has been sort of the baby for the past 4+ years.
So tell us a little bit more about how the agency started for you, because like you said, you have a varied background. And I think a lot of us do when we get in these mastermind groups and you start talking, you're like, hey, man, that was me following this crazy path. And then now I'm an agency owner for the past 10 years. How did it happen for you?
Yeah, I think for me, it was interesting. And I don't really share this story. You probably don't even know this about me, but I actually had an Amazon business. I had this company called Bar Brats. And so Bar Brat, the whole sort of purpose behind it was to sell bar products to folks on Amazon. And I always wanted to have a company that was just automated, it just kind of ran itself, and then I could just working on growing the business rather than inside the business constantly. And that puppy was doing really, really well for us, for me and the family. But I still sort of had my own consulting digital marketing on the side. It was another company that I had called ecommerce. And so that's where I was doing search engine optimization, a little bit of Facebook ads, but not a lot. And then also doing AdWords for clients. And so then, I say back in 2015, there was a group of guys that came together, some other brothers came together and said, hey, let's start this agency. What do you think, Justin? I was like, we can form the LLC, but I'm not going to be able to spend as much time on it. And then, they just kind of kept prying. And I said, you know what? I will, I will start, slowly but surely, you know how it is. You're kind of like that little fish. You kind of start getting reeled in more and more.
Wore you down a little bit.
And you kind of wear you down a little bit. And it got to the point where I said, okay, I will devote more and more time to this venture. And then I started, putting a lot of my perspective, all the things that I've learned in business school, as well as just everything that we've done in marketing, applying it to the agency. And when we first got started, Propellant Media, that is, the crux behind it was geofencing and programmatic display to an extent, but it was really to start working with academic institutions. Because for us, we said, we know, a lot of historically Black institutions are underrepresented when it comes to having good marketing.
Right.
Marketing sucks, let alone academic institutions in general. And so, for us, our team, we're just really passionate about that. But then the trouble with that part of it is, that when you're a startup, you're like, man, the bureaucracy in these HBCUs, let alone institutions, is very, very difficult. So we just got to the point where we said, you know what, let's pivot. After about 1.5 years, 2 years, and not really making a lot of money, I made some drastic changes, which included revamping the website, focusing on inbound marketing, honing in on programmatic display and geofencing. And then that's when the company really took off.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting when you hear those stories, because even as business owners, and whether you're sitting there, owning craft beer brewery, and you're looking at all these options to market, and so it's like people are throwing these, and they're throwing them all over the place, and then they're saying this works, this doesn't work, to switch here, you need to add this in. Everybody's a little bit different when they approach it, and that's why I'm bringing people on here on this podcast, so you can hear that, right? I want people to hear that as agency owners, we go through some of that same process of figuring out what's best, not only what we can provide and become experts in, but also what's best in the areas that we're serving. And sometimes, it falls in your lap and it's easy. And other times you have to adjust on the fly. And I think it's important that everybody understands, because there are so many marketing options that are out there and it gets confusing. So Justin, like shifting that in there, I mean, what do you love about it where your business is right now?
So the one thing that I love about the business is that I feel like we can tell a story to every single client that comes to us and telling them, hey, the same stuff that we are recommending to you, we are doing all of it for ourselves. And it's rare, at least in my mind, I do think that it's rare to find agencies, marketing, consulting firms that are leveraging the same best practices. And when I say the same best practices, I mean like, search engine optimization, pay-per-click advertising, Facebook ads. Great example is HubSpot. We have the HubSpot software on our website. We try to have pop-up forms show up to get individuals' email addresses. But a lot of times there's clients that or other agencies that we know that will sell HubSpot software but aren't using it themselves. And you're kind of like, well, what more of a convincing story can you tell than your own case study? And so I feel like for us, we've gotten to the point, I mean, we're not perfect, but I think we've gotten pretty darn good with being able to develop our own sort of marketing life cycle. And then now we're at a place where a lot of it's dialed in, and now we're just adding more to it. We're adding more to the arsenal, and then continuing to offer some of these solutions to, many of our different clients that we work with effectively.
I think one of the best things that when I first went onto your website is I noticed that all of your remarketing works. Like I didn't really opt in on anything at that point, just had went there. So I'm like, okay, all these pixels are firing because now I'm all over the place and I see Propellant Media. Then when I did download something, I then noticed like the message changed a little bit. And then the retargeting and everything was like flowing. Like you could just tell. I mean, obviously I have a little bit different insight than the average person, but that's also really good to know. Like, hey, if I'm going to use this service or work with these guys, and then we did use your service for an event, and it worked out awesome. I got my team when we were out at CBC, which is the Craft Brewers Conference out in Denver. They were so excited because people were coming up to us. They're like, "Oh, I got to talk to you because I see your ads everywhere." And it was just like awesome. It was immediate validation for that. And all we did was geofence, the area, the convention center, then all the hotels.
Yeah.
And it was a short thing, but it worked. And for 30 days after, we did have people respond and got a decent deal, two really good deals out of it that were not in they're in the brewer space, but they're services to that industry, which was really interesting. So I think that's a huge thing, is like when you love what you do and you're doing it, and then might as well do it for yourself. I think a lot of agencies need to do that.
Yeah, man. And I mean, it's so funny you mentioned that. Like, one of the easiest things, not even just agencies, but any company can do is just site retargeting by itself. I mean, literally, like, you can site retarget through the Google Display Network, through the networks that we have access to, through Facebook. You can even do it through LinkedIn. But you think about all of the traffic that goes to your website. Just not even just like the offline marketing and those folks that just find you directly, but also on the online marketing you're doing. Being able to implement just site retargeting by itself makes all of your marketing and all of your networking efforts that much smarter. So, for us, we do it for ourselves. We love it when clients do it for themselves. But, in my opinion, I personally believe that the site retargeting, I know this is a little off topic, but
no, that's fine.
Site retargeting as its own tactic is without question some of the best tactics that someone can implement.
So this is really good, because if, especially anybody that's listening to this, that we have entered into a conversation where you're talking about, hey, I don't have the budget right now. I always tell them, like, one of the easiest things you can start with is set up a simple ad program and start with the remarketing, retargeting, however you want to define it. And that's like the most cost effective way that you can just get started. Now, can't promise you crazy results if you don't have all the other things going on. But at the same time, it's one of the most simplest things that any business owner can do, at least on a basic level. So just explain real quick, like that 1 minute overview of what it actually is.
Yeah. So we're clear, this is different from geofencing marketing, right? So site retargeting is the process in which someone goes to your website, right? And then you leave, and then you start seeing that person's ads wherever you go. So for many of you who are out there, you may have been to, Amazon.com, you're shopping for some shoes or golf clubs, or, you're trying to buy some beer or whatever it might be, right? And then you leave. And then you go to your favorite game, Angry Birds. Maybe you went to Words with Friends, maybe you're on CNN, or maybe you're on Yahoo, and you see those same exact ads again. That is what we call site retargeting, where someone is retargeting you off of their website effectively. And if you think about it, or not if you think about it, but at least for us, we've seen, and this is studies that shows, that the cost per conversion for site retargeting is typically 3 times less than just any standard marketing paid media that you're doing. So, if you're trying to figure out, all right, well, how am I going to, increase my brand awareness, but most importantly, continue to reach those people who have been to my site, knowing that they may not convert on the first go around, site retargeting is without a doubt the best traffic that you can leverage. Now, that's different from geofencing marketing. It's sort of in the same thought pattern, but instead we're, geofencing, we're retargeting people, but based on your physical activities in the places that you go.
Yeah, I think just taking the people that have already been to your website and then just retargeting them around the web is one of the most cost-effective ways, because you already know that they either were looking for you, or they have some interest, or they were a past customer, or they bought something. And that's a good thing. I appreciate explaining that, because this is the first thing that I mention when somebody says, well, we don't have this giant budget to do it. And I'm like, well, the first thing you want to implement is something along these lines, and it always includes that. Always. So I appreciate you doing that. So outside of your family and getting everything kind of going in the morning, what drives you to do good work and do what you do?
I think that yes, it's family. Yes, it's faith. It's obviously, for many of us, it's the urge to want to make money as well. But I think for me, I've seen how dynamic working in marketing can be. And I can sort of juxtapose that to when I used to work in commercial real estate. Commercial real estate was fun. I was a broker. I was a tenant rep broker. So I was representing tenants that were in the that were in the market looking for office space. And then I made a transition over to agency leasing, where now I am leasing high-rise and mid-rise office buildings, and we were marketing some of those buildings. So that's kind of how I got into marketing. But the one challenge that I had, or the one thing that I just kept thinking about, was number one, that I've always felt like there was a ceiling. Like I wouldn't be able to make the kind of money that I wanted to make. But even more importantly, I felt like there was going to be sort of this, Justin's going to always be in this real estate box. And I will never be able to do anything outside of real estate. Like, yes, I'll be able to work with clients that are in different industries maybe, but it will still always be in this real estate box. Whereas I feel like, and I think, Marty, you agree with this, the work that we do in marketing, you're kind of really dissecting a client's issues, their problems.
Yeah.
On just marketing at the time.
This is true.
I mean, even just think about like the conversation we have with clients around cash flow implications or their sales enablement process. I mean, a lot of times when I'm talking to a client, it's beyond just how am I sending traffic to your site? Because if I send traffic to your website and I'm sending you all these leads, but you're not closing them, then you at some point or another, you're still going to probably blame us in most cases, right? Or if you're spending this amount of money in marketing, what your average customer value is, then you now know that, okay, well, it's taking me about a month and a half to 2 months to turn that lead into a customer, whereas my cash flow implications don't support that. So I need to figure something out. Those are the kind of dynamic conversations that we get to have in this space of marketing. And I mean, what company doesn't need it? What beer, craft, golf course doesn't need marketing? A lot of folks try to rely on themselves and think that their cachet of their brand is the best thing out there and they don't need to do anything and all they need is an email list. No. There's a certain level of personalization that happens. You have to think about the creative and the messaging. You have to think about all the different digital marketing channels as well as those offline marketing channels. And I just never really felt like I would have been at this space of doing something that's this dynamic if I stuck with commercial real estate. I mean, I'm sure maybe I'd be making more money commercial real estate. I don't know. But, I feel like there's a lot more option value with being in the space that I'm currently in now. And it's been so much fun. So much fun.
Hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing on the show and want more, head on over to tapsandtees.info and get our free report with game-changing tips and strategies straight to your inbox. Just enter your info and stop being stuck with no marketing plan.
No, that's a great answer. And it's so true. It's like you do get to dissect some things. And a lot of times, like, you start with, like, what have you ever built that didn't need at least a push, to get something off the ground, to move something, to do anything. And marketing is that push. And when you talk to people over and over again, there's a common theme. And the common theme that I see is if you're in, say, a professional service, you don't understand your cost of sales, i.e., how much does it cost to bring in a new client? And then if you're in beer, golf, you can take that same concept and every pint that you sell when somebody comes into a tap room, every time someone signs up for your product or to play a round of golf, those costs need to be factored in there. Hey, I'm just using this as an arbitrary number. Every time someone signs up to play a round that's new, it costs us $7.50 to get them in there in marketing costs. And that $55 round or $100 round or whatever it is, that has to be incorporated in there to think about that. And sometimes you find, okay, we have that and nailed down and they're the quote unquote easy clients to work with. Right. Then you have others that just say, well, I can't afford the marketing because I don't have the sales. And it's like cart horse. Like, where do you want, how do you want to devise this? And it's sometimes it's sad because you want to help, but you have to dive into some of those things with potential clients and current clients to get their good results for them and not waste their money.
Yeah. Okay, can I give you another? Hopefully, I'm not.
No, go for it, man.
Let me give you another to that point and how that aligns with geofencing, and it's a very tough conversation that we have often with. And I'm not even going to speak directly to just beer and golf. I'm actually going to talk about restaurant brands and restaurant groups.
Go for it.
A lot of times, we'll have a restaurant group that will come to us and say, "Hey, we heard about this cool thing called geofencing advertising." We see that we can geofence all these other locations and we can send traffic to our doorsteps. And he says, yeah, you can do that with us. Awesome. Okay, great. And so they'll come to us, they'll give us a list of locations that they want us to geofence. And for those who don't know, geofencing is targeting people in very, very precise areas. So if you're a restaurant group and let's say you make seafood, that's like really your mainstay, you can target like 20 other seafoods within a 5-mile radius of your location and just target those individuals knowing that those people love seafood And then if they like seafood, hopefully they'll consider your restaurant at some point in the near future. And so for us, what ends up being the challenge is we'll talk to them and saying, hey, geofencing is real. It can be looked at as bottom of funnel, meaning we're targeting individuals who are in market. But if you think about it, it's really disruptive, right? We're putting our ad in front of someone, hoping that they are the right audience, right? And there are times when, if I've geofenced this other restaurant, I just ate, but the good thing with the restaurant industry is like I eat every day, right? But,
Exactly.
but specifically that person may not come to your restaurant for 2 weeks, maybe even a month. And
Or
so
longer.
or even longer than that. And so what you're trying to do is raise your profile, raise the awareness so that, oh snap, man, I love lobster. I didn't even know this place existed down the street. Oh, let me take a look at their menu. Oh, wow, that looks really good. Oh, they got even nice video on. Oh, now these restaurant groups are thinking beyond just, okay, how am I turning this into a positive ROI within the first week? No. You can't think about it that way. Like you said, Marty, it's the cart before the horse. You have to think about doing the push. And then once the push happens, you're sending all that traffic to your site. You have all that sort of fine-tuned the proper way. And then after that, hopefully those individuals are coming in. You do have the ability within geofencing to measure foot traffic as well. So you can see who saw your ads and they came in. And so not to dig too deep, but I just felt like, a lot of times in marketing, a lot of folks just want that ROI immediately. And
it
doesn't happen. And Mari, I know you're the first to say it. Tell clients up front, it's like, you're going to have to give this puppy some time. Because it doesn't it doesn't always work out like first week or even the first month. And sometimes we all lose business, and sometimes clients get it, and those are the ones that usually benefit in the long term.
I actually have put in place, if you don't get it, I'm not going to work with you. I'm going to work with your competitors because, and this is nothing new. I mean, if you're listening to this or you see me speak or on another podcast or webinar, I mean, I'm not speaking anything different. That's why I'm bringing on people like Justin, because I know he understands how things work and I know he's invested in getting results. We all are, but you have to have reality to it. And for the restaurant world, it's very interesting you bring that up, and craft beer is very similar, is you're looking at, okay, well, we're going to launch this thing in month 1. And it's like, yeah, you're going to see some things that we can show you, but you're never going to get anything that's tangible that's going to really do this. I'm like, I asked for a 6-month commitment. And if you can't do the 6 months and you're not willing to look at that over a 6-month period, then I can't help you, because all this is going to be is turmoil and strife, the entire time. And, you can look at it a couple of different ways. You're going to put a plan together that's going to work and it's going to include the geofencing. But to your point, Justin, is like, you eat every day, but most of the time when you target somebody, they're coming out of a restaurant that's a competitor. So maybe they go out in your high-end restaurant. Well, maybe that person goes out, say, twice a month, and they're and their significant other, they already know where they're going for their next one. So now you're on month 2. So now you're already looking at close to 45 days before that person, the result of that ad is going, wow, this new place around the corner, maybe we should try that. And they put it on their list. And then as that starts to snowball, then you're going to start to see those things further down. And what you said there is perfect, because you have to look at it from a standpoint of what is your product, what is your sales cycle. And most restaurants, bar owners, they don't look at that. They're looking at month over month, day over day. What are my Friday and Saturday going to do so I can meet my bills? We totally get it. But if marketing's not a part of that, you're not going to be in business for so long. Well, speaking of restaurants and all the fun stuff that we could talk about, we are sitting here in the middle of a pandemic. We're recording this in early May, almost to mid-May. And, we're sitting here, and I've actually traveled into the Carolinas a little bit, play some golf and do some other things that are a little bit more open. But right now, how's everything, on your end, and, what's affected business-wise, and what do you see coming out of this?
I think it's funny. I just saw a message from one of my partners who mentioned that the consumption of media is up drastically.
Yeah, I know.
Amazon is killing it right now. People just have more time. And so, I definitely think that there's a lot of business that are hurting big time. I mean, particularly the restaurants, the restaurant industry, airlines, obviously. restaurant for sure, for obvious reasons. I do believe that we're certainly going to see the other side of this, but I mean, now we're at a 14.7% unemployment rate now. So you think about all the job gains that we've had over the past 10 years, just like that, which is insane. I think it will come back, particularly with the amount of money that was pumped into the economy. But it's going to take some time. But the one thing is for sure, sort of drown ourselves in our own, levels of despair and anxiety and sadness. It's watching TV, going on to our mobile devices and going to Facebook, Instagram. The amount of media consumption will still be there, if not go up. And so, I know that for our business, we've certainly seen some challenges, but we've also seen some opportunities to get creative. And I think this is sort of another lesson that's for, everyone that's out there. It's like, this is the time to take a look at your site again, rethink your marketing plans. Think about how is your operational cycle, at your location. All those things. Now is the time out of any time, because now you can say, okay, I got maybe a little bit more time to really focus on this, so that when things do start to pick up, your labor costs, not in terms of headcount, but in terms of efficiencies, has gone down. And then ultimately you're making more money based on sort of the labor and the value that you're bringing into your customer base. And I don't care whether you're golf, a brewery, beer, blah, 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 all that. And certainly, absolutely, for any craft beer brand that's out there who doesn't have that e-commerce presence, where you're just sort of expecting people to come to your site and just kind of get to know you a little better. No. You need to find ways to, turn that sucker into some form of e-commerce.
Absolutely.
If based on certain laws in different states, of course.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect summary of some of the things that we're seeing. And the last part that you just said is many times companies, and it's funny because we're in 2020, right? And you stop and you pause and you go, wow, they actually are not really set up for e-commerce, digital sales, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Because e-commerce kind of translates into, people think Amazon, they're buying, products that would be delivered to their homes. But, there's a lot of other people that were forward thinking. Lawyers, some doctors had already set this up 4 or 5 years ago, that you can set up a call and say therapy online. They create a secure spot so, no one can hack in there. And they're doing it, via video. And, some therapists, they like that. And others are like, nah, I'd rather see people in person. But now they're actually rethinking everything. So there's some people that have been ahead of it for 4 and 5 years. Some people that are just getting onto it right now. But what you just said is, now's the time to think about it, because guess what? When you thought, oh, that would be nice to have if we had takeout on our, website, or if we had, for a restaurant, or if we had a way to pre-order our beers before the Saturday, time frame to go pick them up, that they're, we're canning them and putting them out. Hey, we've always had a call ahead for tee times, depending on the type of golf organization you're running, private, public, etc.
Right.
And guess what? If you're thinking about it, and you're always thinking about it, now everybody's thinking about it. And if you don't have those things, redoing your website, getting things set up so that you can do that, getting an email list and text options. I don't know how many craft brewers got back to me and said, hey, remember us, continually breaking your stones about, hey, you want to build an email list? And they were like, no, we don't want to be intrusive. And I was like, okay, you don't want to build it, but you know what? Now you need it to communicate. Hey, get a phone number so you can text message people. Why would we want to do that? Well, this is why. I wasn't trying to suggest that a pandemic was coming, but you need multiple modes of marketing to, communicate. And marketing is communication. So everything Justin just said, and this is why I like bringing on smart people, not only because it makes me look good, because some of the ideas that I've been pitching, but that's not the case. I know Justin thinks for himself. He's got an agency that really works, and you should definitely check out Propellant for sure. But he talks about it in real terms. The first time I met this guy, I was like, man, this guy just tells you like it is. And I love that.
Dude, well, first of all, I appreciate that. And then secondly, just another tip for everyone that's out there. You were talking about the email list part of it. Like we Propellant Media, I think we have about, I don't know, maybe 15, 16,000 people on our email list. And this is all from the marketing that we've done, meaning all the people that have been to our website, downloaded one of our ebooks, watched one of our videos, yada, 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 right? So now we have an asset that we can leverage during this time when, maybe there is less, Google searches, or there's less people that are searching for geofencing or programmatic or et cetera, et cetera. We have that asset. That's the first thing I was going to mention, why it's so important for folks to have that email list. So that's number one. But number two, to what Marty was talking about related to just trying to, be ahead of the curve, go to your Yelps, go to your Google reviews, go to all those different platforms and take a look at all the different reviews that are out there on your brand. And you'll see the answers will be just right there in front of you. I mean, you'll literally be able to do entire summary or your own survey of what people want and they keep asking for, but you're not providing it. That's probably one of the best places that you can go to really get a sense of what you can start providing. That's going to be low cost, high reward. Low cost, high reward. That's always what we're trying to accomplish.
And it's great during this time because you'll have a little bit of time to look at it. And my only thing was just a sense of urgency there because everybody's looking at it and then they're all revamping everything. So coming out of this, like Justin said earlier, I think with everything, economy wise, like when you look at it, we're going to come out of it. Exactly when, who knows? It's going to depend on a variety of things, but you might as well be prepared because people are going to shop different. People are going to be in places different, and the way they interact with, traditional quote unquote businesses is going to be different. So be prepared. So normally on this podcast, we don't have kind of a brain dump from smart people. We're usually talking about what's going on in brewing, what's going on in golf, and those episodes will be coming back very soon. But to close this out, let's talk about some of those fun things. So I know, I think you're a wine drinker more so than beer, but I could be wrong. I can't remember.
Well, no, it's
Okay.
I get pulled to the wine world with my wife, and so I can't speak as much to the wines as I do the beers. And I drink beer. I won't say all the time, but often enough. And what's funny for me is I like a good IPA every once in a while. But Purple Haze actually is my thing, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about the Purple Haze. Maybe because I started literally thinking about being in some type of a haze. I started thinking about a little smoke, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's just done something with my mind.
There you go. But that's fine. That's perfect. That's the type of answer you look for.
That's where I'm at with that. It's Purple Haze all day.
See, and that's a good thing. I mean, I think any brewer that would be listening to us, like, that's a perfect. That's why we try and pull out our names and go down there. But that's that's a perfect description there. In terms of golf, I know you have some golf clients.
Yes.
We've talked about that before, but do you play at all?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
As most of us who are not Tiger Woods or the other PGA professionals, we all suck, right?
Exactly.
And I'm probably in the bottom 5%.
That's all good.
Folks out there, but yeah, have my own set. Try to get out whenever I can. It's been a little difficult though. Like I've had some elbow issues, so so the age thing, right? And I'm how old am I now? Like going to be 37 in a couple weeks. So that's sort of an interesting world to be in right now. But man, golf, that's my zen. It's where I kind of get out and just kind of do my own thing. And half the time I'm just going out there myself.
Exactly.
So love it. Absolutely love it.
One of my favorite things to do is go be the first one out on the course early in the morning, and it's dark out sometimes, or the light's just coming up. You watch the sunrise, you get out there and you play, and you can be alone in your thoughts, and plus you get done really fast.
Yeah.
That's like one of my favorite things, for sure. But don't worry. I mean, I think anybody that says, "Oh, well, I'm like a 2 handicap and I'm like great and all this," I'm like, okay, let's get you out there.
Right.
But you don't have to be good to enjoy it. And then, by the way, that elbow thing at 37, being got a few years on you. That stuff doesn't get any better. By
It
the way,
doesn't
you
get
just
any
gotta
better,
fight through
right?
it. No,
Yeah, just
I
gotta
attended
deal with it.
a year ago. I'm talking to my trainer at the gym, and I'm like, I played 36 holes, and he's like, those are your first two times out. And I go, yeah, back to back. And I'm like, man, I got all this tendonitis right in my elbow, like right away. And it hurts. Like I couldn't even turn the steering wheel. Like it was bad. Wow. And he was just telling me, he's like, yeah, so we'll strengthen, this part of your arm. He's like, but that's also age. And I was like, shut up, man. Did you just call me old?
It's like, dude, man, you're supposed to make me feel better about myself. It's like you're supposed to be lying to me. Lie to me, please.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Stroke the ego just a touch.
Exactly.
Yeah, man. I've been dealing with this thing for the past 6 to 8 months, and I'm just like, man, I don't know if it's going to get better. Now, I will say I haven't tried this yet, but have you heard of PRP? It's called platelet injection therapy. Oh
yeah, well that I've heard of. I don't know much about it.
I haven't done it yet, but it's you do have to. In most cases, you do have to sort of pay out of pocket for it. But it takes your blood. It puts it in a spindle, spins it, and it just pulls out all the white blood cells, and you inject just those white blood cells into that area where you may have that tendonitis or tendinosis, but in this case, tendonitis. And it's supposed to make the healing process for that area go up drastically. Now, I haven't done it yet because when I was about to do it, which was about a month and a half ago, that's when all this COVID-19 nonsense hit us. And so I haven't been able to get back to the doctors yet. But, for me, that's probably the first, because I've done everything else. I've got a Dexatrone shot. I've done a little bit of therapy, but I was like, I don't think that's really going to fix it. I need something else aside from actually getting surgery, which I don't want to do. So,
that's the last resort.
That's the last resort, man.
Well, just to say, Justin's not a doctor, but at the same time, whatever he's looking into, is probably a smart man. But Justin's.
Yeah, just real quick, thank you for saying that, because I don't want to get sued for giving doctoral advice. So yeah, right. So thank you for that. I am not a doctor, everyone. So
he knows marketing, though. I do know marketing.
Just do your research. That's all I'm going to say. I don't know anything beyond that.
Justin, where can people find you online?
Hey, anyone, you can do a search for me on Google, Justin Croxton, you'll find me, or you can just go to our website, propellant.media without the .com. It's www.propellant.media. And you have any questions, most of the time, or at least half the time, I have answers. But man, this has been great. Really, really great conversation, Marty. Really
I appreciate it. I have a couple other topics I think I'm going to hit you up on that will probably be interesting. Might be a little controversial, so I don't want to bring them up now. But I think it would be kind of fun because you have the right attitude about it, and all is kind of triggering off of Purple Haze. But thanks everybody thanks everybody, and thank you to Justin for coming on. We'll see you next time, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks for listening.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.